Hello, welcome back. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. Today we're going to be talking about financial management. We discussed lesson we had was a quick overview on accounting. Now we're going to do a real quick overview of financial management. Remember I told you accounting is very rigid, very structured. I don't care what income statement or balance, as long as they're following the accounting procedures required, then I know that any businesses, those numbers are accurate. I understand how those numbers were calculated. Okay, so now that's finance. That's basically, that's accounting. Now we're going to go to financial management. This is the area that I think most people enjoy. Not. We enjoyed everything because I got a lot of people that are accountants. I need you, okay? So if I'm looking at finance, what's the difference between finance and accounting? Finance gives me the raw data, gives me the numbers, they compile it, they categorize it, give me ratios, give me information, give me income statement. It gives me all that information. Finance looks at that information and says, now, how do I make it better? Let me give you a quick analogy. I'm trying to lose weight. And I am. I'm doing good. How do I know if I'm achieving my goals? Accounting. Or in my scale, I look in this scenario, the bathroom scale. It's digital, electronic. I look at it. I step on it. I can make some minor adjustments. It says you weigh 200 pounds, and I go, ooh, 200 pounds. I look at the benchmark. I look at what's out there, at the ratios, and compare them to different individuals. My weight, I should be only weighing, for my age and my weight, maybe 165. I go, 165? Gee, I wasn't even that way when I was younger. So I'm going to find what I think is my goals are, 175. So the scale is where my starting point. That's my accounting. Here's the number. The finance looks at that. That's the dietitian. He or she says, okay, here's where you're at. Here's your body fat, blah, blah, blah. Do this exercise. Drink this. Do this. Do this. Maybe more active. Whatever the prescription they tell me to do, the course of action. I do that for 3 or 4 months. That's what finance says. Change these numbers. Do a little bit more marketing. Okay, now when I finally, at the month period, I go on the scale and I say I went from 200 pounds to 190. What I'm doing is working well. Now I could project or forecast for going forward, saying, hey, now I understand within the next month I should be at this level. So I'm always checking. Do you see what I'm talking about? So now accounting goes back, the scale, they don't care what the numbers are. Well, I really meant this. No, here's how much your revenues are. Here's how much your sales are. Here's how much your expenses are. Here's how your taxes are. Here's how your ratios, did they change? Did they improve or not? Do you see how that goes? So accounting gives me the data. Here it is. It's my starting point. It can't be fudging. It's accurate. And then finance does the changing, or like the dietitian. Okay, so let's go into our chapter. This one may be a little bit more. I'm gonna try to make it at 20 minutes. Okay. Remember, I'm just gonna go over. So now we know what the different financial management is. The person who makes things happen. All of us are financial management. We pay our rent, we pay our mortgage, we pay our car payment, we go out to dinner. So where do we get these capitals? So that's all financial management. Who is in finance? We all are. Okay, chief financial officer, foresight. This is everything we're going to talk about. I'm just going to hit on the areas that I think you really need to concentrate on. Okay, what do financial managers do? Let's talk about this one. I'm going to open this up. Remember, here's the chart. Like I used the chart, and this chart here basically is out of your book, so you should do all right. Let's see if I can make this just a little bit better view so you can see it. That's all right. We'll just talk about it. All right. I could just I'll just expand it here. Okay. Let's make it bigger. I'm live. Okay. So what does a financial manager do? And I think this chart basically a picture tells 1,000 words. All right, 100 words, whatever. Okay, it manages the taxes. It advises to the top management or your own self. You are the top management. It collects the fund. That's through people who owe me, through credit card or through IOUs, whatever. It controls fund management. How much do I spend? How much do I bring in? So I'm watching all this. Obtains funds. There's two ways of obtaining funds. We'll find out later on. Is equity financing? It means I sell parts of my business. I have some assets I give them. Or it's a debt financing. I take out a loan. I take a short-term loan. I do something. I borrow from an angel investor. All right. Now budgeting. How much money do I have to put aside every month to pay for my inventory, my employees, have extra money put away, pay the taxes that I do, pay my dividend, whatever it is, we budget now anyway. Remember, that's why if you're in an interview and you go a couple chapters and say, did you ever do any kind of financial things? No, but I am a financial management. I put my kids to school. I pay for their mortgage. I pay for their schooling. I pay for their lunch meals. I know where the money's at. And here's how I do it. So basically what you're doing every day, you are chief financial management. The only difference in business from small to large, you just add more zeros. You have more functions. You have more expenses. You have more revenues coming up. You have more opportunity, but you have also more risk. All right? And then planning. How do I get the money in the front? I know I have to bring my inventory. I have to pay for my inventory 6 months in advance. How do I get that money when I start retaining my income? Or do I ask, go out for a loan? No different now. You know you're going to be moving out. You know you got school books coming in. So you're financial, right? So the money you get from your financial assistance or everything else, the first month you have to pay out of your pocket. The rest it just keeps on recycling. You know it's coming in. I got to put it away. So you may have an account that you put your personal savings away. You may have an account that you just have for your book. You may have an account for your for lack of better words, for your own expenses, just the school expenses versus private expenses, all right? And then you audit at the end. Where did the money go? My wife hid it, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, she took the money, my friend, my kid. What the heck? Where did it go? You always have to do auditing and make sure what you're doing is doing right. That's what financial managers do. Okay, we'll put that away. The role of financial manager, funded credit, we just talked about that. Why do people fail financially? Poor cash flows. Why do businesses or marriages or relationships fight? All about the money. He spends, I save, we don't have enough money, they overcharge, creditors call me, I'm out of here. I lost my job, I'm out of here. Instead of saying, okay, I lost my job, let's look at this. What could we sell? What could we do? Maybe it's a good time to open up our own business. Remember, people are saying now with all this that's going on, is it a good time to open it? Yes, it is. A lot of businesses are failing. But now you have the ability. If you have the cash, if you have the reserve, if you have an idea. If you've taken this course or other courses at the college, you do fine. Okay, chief financial concerns, all right. And like I said, macro, micro, what about the company, what's going out in the environment? Some things that can't happen. So now, biggest concern is when I open up the business, will I be able to stay in my business in the different phases? Or do I move out of the business? Remember, there's a lot of things going on. Chicago, and in Chicago, Walmart said, hey, because of all these unrest, we're moving out. You can't protect my business. I don't want to put my money into an area that's going to cost me. Remember, I'm a business person. I love people. I'm not a charity. But I have to make those things. Same thing with small businesses. Do I rebuild? The city says, hey, we're sorry about all this. We're going to give you money, grant money to rebuild your businesses, and we'll protect you, whatever, and we'll reduce your tax. They're going to do something to encourage me to stay, or businesses may say, maybe I just go out someplace else. You have to make those decisions, and those are macro. Outside the organization, forces that affects all businesses, all right? And then financial forecast, this is a kind of hard thing. I got a forecast. When do I need the money in advance? That's all finance. It just doesn't happen. You don't want to be caught. You have to put money away. In finance, we call retained earnings. Okay, different types of budgets, and then we'll talk about the budgets. I'm not going to get into it. You have cash budget, capital budget means big things you're going to be buying. You got to remodel. You got to bring in a new product line. Key obtaining the things. And again, we're talking about controlling inventory, credit, and there's a YouTube I'm going to do about a flow-through inventory turnover that you should be looking at in chapter. In the last chapter in accounting, I talked about, okay, how do I improve my cash flow? Same thing, that's my checking account. I get more money in there. And the author does good. Trade, promissory notes, everything we talked about. Ways to raise capital. You could franchise out. We talked about in different organizations. You could invest. You could family members. You could sell shares. Just a lot of other things, long term, short term. Okay. Remember, I'm opening all these up. Stop it, look at it. I'm just overviewing the book, the lectures, everything else we have. This is a quick overview to say, man, I got to understand it. What you're trying to get out of this thing is vocabulary, words. So when you're talking to other business individual, I'm going to be talking about startup. I'm going to talk about retained earnings, okay? Okay, now the 5 C's of credit. Character, the 5 C's of credit, later on we're going to be talking about personal finance, on your own finance. Just the way I'm going to go in here, then we're going to talk about your own finance to see, hey, I know all this stuff. Businesses are viewed the same way. They get a credit score. How successful the business, how long the business is, who are the people in the business, all that is part of it. How quickly I pay back, what are my assets. All this happens in businesses just like you do in the individual credit score. I have a business credit score. A little bit different, but for now, just look at it as similar. This is an intro class. I don't want to really, oh my goodness, I don't want to go into business. Whether you go into business or not, you're going to move up the ladder as a manager. You should know the corporate. You're looking at the only thing when you're working for a company is that a company has more resources and more support for you. On your own, you're basically at yourself. As a manager, if I mess up and I lose too much money, my department is doing, I'm out the door. No different as a small business. If I don't be successful, I'm still out the door. All right, so the whole thing is not that hard. You'll do fine. All right, so here you go. Debt financing, equity. If I'm looking debt financing, most of our whole system is set up with debt financing. Whether you like President Trump or not, he's trying to move the whole economy out of the debt section into equity financing. So the only reason as a business I got into more debt because I could write off on taxes, my expenses, on all this. Now if he's eliminating all those tax expenses for mortgages or for anything for businesses to get me into debt, I'm going to go, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I should go into, forget the debt and just have the cash, retain earnings, or have something else to bring in more shareholders or franchise. You see how my mind thinks, because the whole thing, whether I'm paying taxes or not, I have to pay taxes as a business. I'm trying to minimize my taxes. I'm trying to minimize my expenses and the rationale so I could keep more of the profitability for me. That is the basic whole thing for finance. Now, finance management is how do I minimize my tax burden, increase my profitability so I could take that profit after I paid everybody else off and give that money to my shareholders. Remember, there's double taxation with shareholders. When I get my dividend from the companies that I invested, I'm all happy. They paid everything out. But when I have to pay taxes, I got to show that as additional revenue and pay taxes on that. Catch 22. That's life. Read about it in your accounting chapter. It makes sense. Again, so we've covered everything else. I opened up everything else. Make sure you open up all these chapters like I promised you, so you can look at it. Look at my concept maps. If you only have this tier in the concept map, here's the additional information. But you could get all the information right out of your book. And the whole thing I want to say, there's more women. Women are moving up. This COVID-19, everything else, kind of like stagnant. I don't know, women, everybody else stagnant. But remember, you'll come back up. I think the trend is there a difference between a woman chief financial officer and a man chief financial officer? They're both very effective. A man may be a little bit more risque. A woman is more reserved and make sure everything is in line. They're both successful. Understand that? One takes more risk, one looks a little bit more, it's a little more cautious. Which one it is right now, I would think everything's going on, be more of the cautious approach. But either one. So you're going to see chief financial officers, both men and women, and sometimes you may have a woman in there and everything is stable, but the company wants to be a little bit more risque because new management team came in and they'll bring in a man. And I'm not saying there's women that are still risky. Don't look at me. Remember, I'm not stereotyping. Remember, this is business. I'm generalizing, for goodness sakes, all right? All right, I think I covered everything else. So I covered, you have everything else in here. What else? Financial planning, all right. Well, planning involves what? Analyzing, right? 3 ways for financial planning, establishing controls. Remember, you're looking at your plans. When I, as a manager, check my monthly things, I'm looking how much sales I had last month, what's my expenses, and what basically am I closed. So for next year's budget, I say I think the interest rates are going to go up, or I think that the utilities are going to go up. I have to make, or the taxes going up in Chicago. They're already talking about taxes going up, so I have to anticipate that and already put it into my long-term plan. It may upset my profitability, but maybe I could bring something else, or do I have to raise my rate? You see how all this makes all sense for businesses, internal forces, labor forces, external forces, everything else, government, rules, regulation, less regulations, more customers. All this is, that's the fun part of being an entrepreneur, a manager, or an individual, or even on yourself. You can say, oh, woe me, woe me. Life is training. Part of business is seeing what's going on, analyzing, observing, and make a plan going forward, and you'll do well. And part of this course and the classes you take and talk to other businesses, it's all about planning and adjusting, so I have everything ready when that opportunity or when the risk comes, I could be basically protected or covered. Okay? I'll talk to you later. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and let me just bring this all back to level 1. Some people ask me what program I'm using. This is MindJet. It's a business program. The reason I utilize this is I learned that in the corporate world, and now I just basically pay a single-use license agreement, but it interacts really well with Office, Microsoft Office. So what I do here, I could bring into PowerPoints, into Word, and other things. It transforms easy. Just in case you wanted to know. I'll talk to you later. Oh, let's see how many minutes I have on this one. 16 minutes, and I almost covered everything that I wanted you to cover up. Let me look at my notes real quickly. Okay, make sure you know what retained earnings are. We talked real quickly on that. Make sure you basically know basically 100 shares, what a stockholder is. Stockholder, stakeholder, there's a difference on this. Make sure you know what an IPO is, initial public offering, and that when a company does the first time initial public offering, the money goes to the company. Afterwards, you have primary market, secondary market. We'll talk a little bit about that when we go into finance or investments. But I just want you to be a little bit aware of that. Mutual funds, I think that's all you need on here. All right, so are we good for now? I think I covered everything, but I mean there's more in here, but I already covered the information. Oh, I'm still at 17. I'll talk to you later. Stay safe, enjoy this, and remember, I don't do any editing. And if you want a more in-depth on all these chapters, if you look at some of my previous recordings on YouTube, go Dr. George Mochocki, or College Lake County, or Harper, or just general Dr. George Mochocki, and you'll see some of the older ones. And I still always use a concept map, and I go into more deep. They're about like an hour long. I try to keep these a little shorter since the book has videos and there's a lot of interaction, and 20 minutes is more than enough for a chapter as an intro. Just like I would be introducing this, since this is just a quick overview. You know I'm always trying for my 20 minutes. Have a nice day.